Mike Huckabee seems to be on a mission to convince Christians that they have to support Israel, that is what their duty is. Meanwhile, he has been meeting with an Israeli spy. Like, the disgust, right? It's so shameful, so shameful. But here he is, Mike Huckabee. Like I said, they're on a mission because they know that support has changed for Israel on the right. Here is Mike Huckabee here, who just met with an Israeli spy who was convicted of giving classified U.S. intelligence to Israel. Now he's saying Christians have a moral debt that is owed. Listen to this, guys.
I get asked all the time because I'm a Christian, and they say, well, why are you so supportive of the Jewish people? I said, you can be Jewish. You don't have to have anything to do with Christians, but you can't be a Christian and not understand that your entire faith is built on the foundation of Judaism. So for Christians, we look at this as an obligation, a moral debt that we must repay. And therefore, I don't understand anyone who says, I'm a Christian, but I don't really want to support the Jews. Well, how can you do that? But it is not the view of those of us who are what I would call biblical believers that accept that what the scripture says about the Jewish people. In Genesis 12, those who bless Israel will be blessed. Those who curse Israel will be cursed. It gets pretty simple. I say there's a miracle every day in this country.
Israel, as I mentioned on Sunday, we started my series, part one of my series called The Israel Myth. Again, in the Bible, Israel is those who follow Christ. Started off with Israel being referred to as Jacob, where Jacob was called Israel, but it's supposed to be those who follow Christ. This Zionist entity project for the state of Israel is not what Israel is in the Bible, not the biblical Israel. But Mike Huckabee is an insane, crazed Zio person. And for someone who claims to be a Christian, he has absolutely no respect for the children that have been killed in Gaza. He doesn't give a damn about them. So as far as I'm concerned, Mike Huckabee can fuck all the way off. This is a part of his podcast tour. Ben Shapiro's going around on podcasts trying to convince people. And now you got Mike Huckabee going around trying to convince people to continue to support Israel as well. Mike Huckabee should be wanted for treason, because Mike Huckabee met with an Israeli spy. Max Blumenthal says Mike Huckabee went to Israel 14 years ago to lobby for the freedom of an Israeli spy, Jonathan Pollard, who forked over the NSA's signal intelligence manual to Tel Aviv. Trump and the Senate GOP then chose him as their point person to represent the America First brand in Israel. Listen to this.
Governor Huckabee joins the recent calls to act in benefit of Jonathan Pollard, who has spent more than 25 years in U.S. prison for spying for Israel.
He pled guilty. He served an extraordinary length of time for the crime that he was convicted of, to which he pled guilty. And it would seem to now be, I think, a matter of goodwill and a good faith gesture for the president to give clemency and release him.
Governor Huckabee joined.
In my opinion, this is treason. This is treason. This is absolutely insane. He went there to advocate for an Israeli spy who gave away U.S. intelligence secret. This is treason. And yet he gets applauded. He goes on all these different shows. He goes to different conferences. Is that like helping Americans? No, it's not. That's helping Israel. We have separation of church and state in this country. So this whole idea that our foreign policy has to fit the state of Israel because of biblical purposes, which I've already proven on this show is incorrect information, but this idea that you have to support it because of biblical purposes, it doesn't even fit with what the U.S. is, because we have a separation of church and state. There are people that live in this country that are of many religions. There are people in this country that don't support any religion. But Mike Huckabee is out there. He was advocating for this guy. And I want you to hear what Jonathan Pollard said. Again, Max Blumenthal said he was an Israeli spy who gave massive troves of U.S. intel secrets to Tel Aviv. How is this okay?
admit this, we are now feeding our enemy. I mean, this has never happened in history before, and you have to ask why. And I don't want to hear this business that it's consistent with Jewish morality. It isn't. Anybody saying that doesn't know anything about Jewish morality at all. Oh, let me bring you back to October 1973, during the Yom Kippur War, when Henry Kissinger instituted an arms embargo against us. And what happened? What happened was an A-4 Skyhawk was parked at Tel Nof Air Base with some interesting weapons under its wings. And we told the Americans, take your eye in the sky and take a good look at the airplane that's on that runway. And the next day, the airlift started to Israel, the arms airlift.
So in other words, we threatened their...
We threatened to use unconventional weapons. I'll leave it at that.
This is who Mike Huckabee was talking to. This guy who was an Israeli spy, he's telling you they threatened to use weapons against the United States. Does that sound like an ally to you? All Israel is a settler colonial project. That's all this is. This is not about religion. Israel is a secular state. It's a settler colonial project that is supported by the U.S. And without the U.S., they couldn't do what they're doing. And they threatened us. Does that sound like an ally? Do your allies, do your friends threaten you? That's who Huckabee is buddies with. This is who he went to hang out with.
And so he said, is this what you want us to threaten now? I said, absolutely, except this time I want us to go forward with it if necessary. If they think we're bluffing, we go forward with it. Look, as far as I'm concerned, when we are faced with an existential threat, we have the right to use any and all weapons in our disposal to eliminate that existential threat. A lot of people don't know anything about nuclear weapons at all. What they are, how they can be used. And I'm tired of using euphemisms. I'm tired of saying, well, we have something, in the basement, but we won't be the first to introduce nuclear weapons in the Middle East. It's enough already.
Yeah, that's definitely not an ally. And visiting that guy should be considered treason. This is how corrupt our government is. And this is why I asked this question again. People need to decide, are you going to support politicians that take money from the Israeli lobby or no? Every time people vote along, which Hakeem Jeffries has voted for these legislations that support Israel, this is what you're supporting. Mike Huckabee isn't alone because there's more. Now, we actually have Obama's speechwriter, Sarah Hurwitz. I want you to hear what Sarah Hurwitz said. This woman has lost her damn mind. So you can see the Israel thing is bipartisan. Sarah Hurwitz, listen to what she said about the Gaza. Listen to this.
October 7th happens. And I'm texting with them. I'm like, do you still want me to come? Like, what should I do? And we decided the tour would go on. And so it wasn't a response to October 7th. It was really planned beforehand, but it became a response to October 7th. And it was, I came straight from like 1997 to 2023 and the shock that I felt. On so many, we're very distracted by these big encampments and protests, which are terrible, of course. But I am much more worried about the pervasive systemic atmosphere on these campuses, like the air kids breathe.
Yeah.
In a lot of campuses, Israel is in the same moral bucket as the KKK and the Nazis, right? So if I said to you, Jonah, look, I'm a Nazi, sure, but I'm a liberal Nazi. That's insane, right? Or, I'm in the KKK, but I don't hate minorities. Like, that's monstrous. Like, come on, we're not going to have a conversation about that. And that's what I think a lot of students on campus hear when a Jewish student says, well, look, I'm a Zionist, I'm a liberal Zionist. I care about Palestinian rights. It's like Israel is now so evil, so untouchable that there's no point of contact you can have with it, just like there's no point of contact you can have with the KKK or Nazis. And
let me pause here for a second. So first of all, her argument doesn't make any damn sense. Systemic means systems. What system in the universities, how does the university system benefit or support the logic that she just laid out? It doesn't. If anything, the system, the university systems, which I worked in for over a decade, the university systems operates in such a way to fight for and to, I would say, prioritize Jewish Americans. So what the hell is she talking about? Two, this whole idea that, well, it's that's impossible for someone to be like the KKK or something. That's impossible to compare us to like the KKK. No, it's not. Because just because you're liberal doesn't mean you're not racist. Hello. There's a lot of that going around where you can be liberal and say, I think all these people should have these rights. But the moment they move next door to you, you got a problem with it. Somebody talk to me. Hello. So that in itself is problematic. So here goes again. This is Obama's speechwriter.
Once you're in that level of rationality, there's no conversation to be had. You know, so many Jewish students told me they tried to meet with their classmates who were harassing them and like have a conversation, and they would be told, no, that would be normalizing Zionists. I just thought like the extremity of this, and it's so confusing for these poor college kids because their anti-Semitism education has been Holocaust education.
Right.
So they get to campus, they're like, well, there are no Nazis here, but I feel really unsafe. And so I'm going to gaslight myself and say, well, maybe it's anti-Zionism, not anti-Semitism. And I have to walk them through like, okay, if a classmate of yours, I was like, can I walk through your campus with a t-shirt that says, I love Israel? And they're like, oh God, no. I'm like, okay, what if a Black student came to you and said, my campus is great for Black students, but I can't wear my Black Lives Matter t-shirt, I'd get harassed. And the student's like, oh, that's racism. That's terrible. Great. Gay student says, my campus great for queer students, but if I wear my Pride t-shirt, I will be harassed. Like, it's not great. That's homophobia.
Right.
So it's like, so how come if you wear your Israel t-shirt and you get harassed, you don't think that's anti-Semitism? And they're like, no, but the problem, it's not Jews, it's Israel. I'm like, okay, what if your Chinese American classmate wore a t-shirt that says, I love China? Even if your classmates knew what a terrible human rights violator China is, I'm guessing they would think, well, okay, I'm sure she doesn't love the Chinese government. She's probably just passionate about her heritage, or maybe she's studying Chinese history or language. I think your classmates would give her the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
And that is not something that happens for Jewish students. And it's Dara.
The dangerous part about this conversation is that she is conflating Zionism with anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism. She's conflating Zionism with Judaism. She's mixing those two together, and that is intentional. She's not saying this because, whoops, I just messed up, or maybe I didn't understand. That is intentional. That is a Zionist strategy. Let's push the two together. That way people can't criticize Israel. Israel is a state. Israel is not perfect. There is no perfect country in the world, and you can criticize other states and other countries for their actions. But what they are trying to do, people like Sarah's whack ass, they are trying to convince people that Zionism and anti-Semitism, that this is the same thing, so that way you can't criticize Israel. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? This whole, well, can I walk on campus with a shirt that says, I love Israel, given what's happening right now? Why would you even want to do that? Why would you even love Israel at this point in time when the majority of the Israelis support what's happening to the Palestinian people? Why would you even want to do that? Why would you do that? Also, too, don't put us in your mix, Sarah. Don't put Black people in your mix. Don't come with the whole Black Lives Matter t-shirt. You're talking about two completely different things. And my people, we don't have any type of power in the university system. I can tell you that for a fact. We don't have the resources as a group, as a community. We don't have it. So don't try to lean that whole thing on us, because at the end of the day, when it comes down to all the marginalized groups and community of color groups and stuff like that, when it comes down to that, you have made sure that you are prioritized, not us. So I don't even want to hear it. Don't want to hear it. But this was Obama's speechwriter. So they're weaving into both of the parties or the uniparty. It doesn't matter which one you're a part of. Zionism is a part of both. And you got to start asking this question: how is Zionism a part of so many different institutions, whether it's education, whether it's the political parties? Come on, man.
Who's one of my best friends and an amazing Jewish author, she talks about the difference between Purim anti-Semitism, which is like, you're a Jew, you're bad, I'm going to kill you. There is nothing you can do to be good. You can't convert, you're bad, I'm killing you. Whereas there's another kind of anti-Semitism, which is like, you're a Jew, you're bad, there is something you can do to be okay. You can give up whatever it is that I, the majority, think is disgusting about Judaism. And so back in the day, if you were a Jew converted to Christianity, they wouldn't kill you. For some time at least.
Yes, I have.
For a while, maybe.
If you got lucky.
You could convert. And today I think I think about my parents' generation, the 50s, if you were a Jew and, just get rid of your last name, your nose,
Right.
your Jewy gestures, right? Be less Jewy and then you're safe. Today.
And that's not what anybody is saying. The college encampments did not say anything about that. They were calling for an end to the genocide. Now she's trying to make this as though, no, they were actually against the Jewish people. A lot of the student protesters were Jewish American students. For those of us who were on the ground and covered those events, we know this. But she's not going to say that because that doesn't fit her narrative. Ay, ay, ay.
Today, it's, get rid of your Zionism and then you're safe. And so you see these poor kids who are like, they're like, my rabbi growing up told me Israel was great. And then I got to campus and I learned they were genocidal, colonial Nazis. I saw the light. I had an epiphany. And then I took anti-Zionism and anti-colonialism into my heart and now I'm saved. And their classmates are like, now you're saved. You're a Jew who's seen the light. And it's like,
no, it's like, you're nutso psycho. But she's not the only one, right? And start thinking about it now. What's in it for them? So let's go to the craziest of the crazy, Miss Melanie Phillips. Jewish Zionist activist Melanie Phillips at Sherrod Hodden's Rage Against the Hate conference declares that there is no such thing as Palestine. Listen to this, guys. Wild.
The world has been made to believe that peace and justice in the Middle East hinge on the Palestinians getting a state of their own. Justice for the Palestinians has been deemed to be the issue that drives all before it. By apparently denying that happy outcome, the state of Israel has come to be perceived as the enemy of humanity itself. This is the big lie that we are all up against. But the Jewish world has never identified this big lie as such and has never fought it. It has never told the world the truth. There is no such thing as Palestine. There is no such thing as the Palestinian people.
And now we get to the point where they are really trying to just erase the people from existence altogether. This is absolutely deranged. Now their job is to convince you that the people don't even exist. There's no such thing. Just, as if Israel was created when? 1947, 1948, 47? So what was the land before then, Melanie? It's absolutely baffling to me.
The Jewish world has never told the rest of the world that the indigenous people of the land of so-called Palestine are the Jews, that the Jews are the only people who have any entitlement to any of this land, an entitlement based in law, in history and morality, and they are the only people who have an entitlement to all of it. The Jewish world has never said that.
This is absolutely sad. So you see what's happening here? Yeah, they're big mad, man. They're big mad because the numbers are not looking in their favor anymore. So there were Jewish people that were there. There were also Arab people that were there as well. They were living together in harmony before Zionism started, before the Balfour Doctrine. And the father of Zionism, Theodore Herzl, wasn't religious. Don't she sound like a colonizer to you? She sounds just like one. It's ours. It belongs to us. It's old. Says who? That's what this is. And they are pissed. They are pissed because it's one thing for people on the left to push back against it. It's another thing when you have people who are Republicans who are pushing back against it, in particular, younger Republicans. Why do you guys think there's the push from Chuck Schumer and others and Ben Shapiro to shut down Nick Fuentes? It's not just because Nick Fuentes says racist things here and there. It's because he has been able to reach young conservatives and tell them the real deal about Israel. And they can't have that. What's in it for them? What's in it for them? The Greater Israel Project, while they continue to kill more Palestinians, Lebanese, Syrians, so they can expand their project. And then that connects the U.S. too, because the U.S. wants to be a part of the Greater Israel Project for economic reasons. This is about business. This is about trade. This is about resources along that Gaza Strip. They decided about this a long time ago. So the world did notice. The world is pushing back. And I don't see Israel ever coming back from this. I just don't. People have seen a lot. Hard to forget watching, a live streamed genocide. I don't think most people are going to forget that. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.